think that might be good. I'm just going to turn off the music altogether. Should be good now. I'm going to keep... I have the microphone right on. All right, guys. Thanks, Wilton, for the heads up. I appreciate it. So there's... It's hard to say that they're even... my hair is just... My hair is always a mess on this channel. Anyway, it's hard to say that they're actually even rumors because I feel like they're just barely rumors. They're kind of maybe hints. Hints. That's probably the best way to put it. Hints that something might be going on. There's a couple tweets here and there. Yeah, Belushi tweeting. We've had stuff being hinted or suggested for quite some time now. Anna saying Sherilyn Fenn gone rogue. I don't know if she's gone rogue. I think she also has ideas, and I'm very much in the camp that after, like, I feel like with certain things, the actors that portray the character, they are that character. They gave that character life, and I you know, some people will probably say, no, this is David Lynch and Mark Frost's character. It's theirs to do whatever they want with. But I think Sherilyn Fenn has a little bit of, she should have a little bit of say in what the Audrey story is like. And now, as a fan, I would like it to be in the continuity and kind of be in sort of referenced, or at least in collaboration with either David Lynch or Mark Frost, or at least Jennifer Lynch, since she's done a Twin Peaks world book before. Now, I don't know if David Lynch considers the Diary of Laura Palmer canon, but it always checked out to me. Didn't seem to be any fatal flaws per se. I really enjoyed that book. I would read it again, and I'd suggest it to any Twin Peaks fan. So if she does come out with a book, I hope she'd get some consulting, or at least maybe have somebody work with her on the book and kind of place it in a... I mean, I don't know. We know very little about what the what that book is gonna look like. It seems like she wants to do some kind of essays from Audrey or some kind of diary. I'm not sure if it's even going to be, particularly Audrey living her life. It might be just Audrey during her school days and what she might have done, and or maybe afterward. But I think if it's anything that conflicts with maybe what did or didn't happen in season 3, but I do think if she is writing a book, it would be nice for it to be kind of on the level and get some consulting from David or Mark or even Jennifer. Then that's something I'd be very interested in reading. I might be interested either way, but I think... Twin Peaks fans will definitely jump at the chance to learn more about Audrey's life in that capacity. I'm really interested in seeing Twin Peaks fleshed out more in book form. Wilton says, I don't share any of her ideas on Twin Peaks, none that she has publicly said. Cooper plus Audrey for one bad idea. Yeah, I was never a big Cooper and Audrey fan, to be honest. I mean, I love Cooper and Annie, but yeah, Cooper and Audrey was a little too close. It's a little, it's not great. If that had shaked out, which I'm glad it didn't. And I said I would like an illustrated Artie book with just a few paragraphs to each one. CBA. With essays from Sherilyn Fenn, if I'm honest. Essays are cool. She could talk about Audrey. I'm a massive fan of Audrey and John. Yes, I think that's a vastly underrated relationship in Twin Peaks. John Justice Wheeler and Audrey Horne, I love that relationship. I think that's probably one of the better ones on the show. Besides, like, Pete and Catherine, like, later on. Obviously, they start off really rough. But... They get really chummy, and you could see how they like originally might have fallen in love with each other, because their relationship gets a little bit more, there's more adoration towards the end. But Audrey and John, yeah, that's severely underrated Twin Peaks relationship. Everybody kind of dogs the James. Oh, pretty much all of James' relationships. But I think we had really something special at the end with Audrey and John. I would have loved to see how that turned out. There's pretty much no mention of John in The Return that I could think of. I mean, there was barely any Audrey, so that makes sense. But I think he was a presence in Twin Peaks, and a lot of people just kind of dismiss John Justice Wheeler. I feel there's rarely any conversations. I guess because he didn't really, he wasn't really involved in the mystery. It was very much a relationship plot, but I really enjoyed Billy Zane's presence on the show. I like Billy Zane. I'm down with I'm a Zaniac, I guess. Anyway, I think, like I said, I think it's a lot to call them rumor. At best, they're suggestions or just hints that something might be happening. I went on Cameron's show, Obnoxious and Anonymous, a couple days ago, and we kind of hashed out a lot of these rumors. And one that I thought might be viable and kind of would be cool and make sense to me is if, maybe if they don't want to reshoot or, shoot a new season or something, but an idea I had, and I feel like it's kind of likely, that they re-edit Fire Walk With Me to consider the events of The Return. Obviously, things change after Audrey goes running away from James on the bike. Things change drastically, so you could completely change the second half of that movie, or the sort of the last half hour to an hour of that movie, if you integrate footage that was never used, extra footage that was shot, maybe shoot some new footage just for that edit. But I think it would be such a Twin Peaks David Lynch thing to do, to put out a movie again, put out Fire Walk With Me again, but this one kind of playing with the new canon of the world. Obviously it might seem like a cop-out to some people, but I think it would be a lot of fun to watch. Maybe they drop that on a Showtime or Netflix or whatever, just a recut, post The Return, Fire Walk Me. After the events of The Return, you watch Fire Walk Me as you would watch it, but at a certain point, things just, Cooper takes Laura out of the forest, and then everything past that is new. Maybe you go right to Carrie Page, because I think, and I said this on the Cameron channel, I think the movie format is Laura. I think Laura really, obviously they established this with Fire Walk With Me. She wasn't really she was a presence in the show, but she wasn't in the show. And I think the show is Cooper and, the other people of Twin Peaks. But I think Cooper is the lead of the show, not necessarily Laura. Whereas they kind of, Laura seems, we've only gotten one movie, but I feel like Laura would be good. Her stories would be good and consistent if they did those in movie format. Just to kind of like Kyle and Cooper have Twin Peaks the show, and then Laura, Sherilyn have the movies. And I think it would be cool to have that kind of thing. Obviously, feel free to disagree or tell me I'm crazy, but I think it would be cool to have that re-edit, include extra footage to kind of fit in with the new timeline, universe, whatever you want to call it. James Blanton said, Joey, have you seen the YouTube video entitled Twin Peaks Explained? No, really. It's badass and awesome, almost 5 hours long. Yeah, I watched all those videos. I really like them. I'm sure, I'm very much in the camp of, Twin Peaks is, David Lynch has said it before, it's, whatever you think it is, whatever mystery, some things can be solved and some things are just kind of, it's serendipitous and things happen and turn out that way, and it seems coincidental, but then also don't believe in coincidences. So it's kind of like, I really enjoyed it. I'll say I did enjoy it. I'm sure, a lot of that stuff seems to check out, and I'll give the guy a lot of credit. He did a fantastic job, fantastically shot and edited, and he did a lot of research, and it was educational. At the very least, even if you don't agree with what he said, it was absolutely educational. I learned a lot of stuff I had no idea about through that video, especially about old technologies and TV and how that stuff kind of works. I only had a vague idea before, but after that video, I was, better educated than I was before I watched it. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff there. And I watched his follow-up videos as well. And you know what? Maybe he's completely right. I'm not saying he's not. He could be completely right about every single thing. But I'm just a little, David Lynch and Mark Frost are very smart dudes. They know what they're doing. They know how to tell a story. They know how to, tell a mystery. They know how to, they know how to be subtle when you need to. So I think a lot of that stuff probably, that's how it kind of falls in line with the way David Lynch thinks, and the way he phrases things, and the way he he's a tinkerer. We've been seeing his videos on YouTube where he's just tinkering and building and adjusting and varnishing and all sorts of stuff. So I could totally see a lot of that stuff checking out, especially with the Lady Dido stuff. That was probably the most interesting part, how he deconstructed that Dido scene with the great thing, the sort of the separator and the rays and now I probably have to rewatch it again because it's already been a couple months since I watched it, but I remember that scene or that section standing out in particular and being really interesting. So I could see a lot of that stuff being, completely right. But I do think some of the stuff we see in Twin Peaks is also very serendipitous, and David Lynch just likes to sit around and think, and maybe that's a thought that comes into his head. Maybe he's cognizant of what it is. Maybe he's not. Maybe he just sees the parts and then he's like, okay, let's put these on screen. But those scenes in particular have to be fleshed out a little more. They're a little bit more specific than maybe a scene in the Red Room where he's like, okay, now this person appears, or maybe you do this instead of this, where he has actors to play with like that. There was a lot of the stuff in the black and white scenes with Lady Dido and the firemen. There was some more effects at work, so I feel like things had to be planned specifically, which makes me think that those scenes in particular are pretty much could probably be in line with what he said, because those scenes probably had to be more planned out than others. So I think in that respect, he probably nails it. But there's a couple other little things that I'm like, maybe here and there. But overall, great. If you haven't watched that video and you have a bunch of time to kill, I mean, we're all still kind of home more or less. Check it out. But going back to these rumors, so ultimately, I would say I'm optimistic that there will be more. We're definitely gonna see more from David Lynch. Obviously, there's something going on with him and Netflix. Not sure what, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like if it's anything Twin Peaks, obviously Showtime's gonna be involved. And unfortunately, the Graceland event was canceled. So if there was going to be any announcement there, that would have been a big deal. But maybe they're still going to announce something, and they're just kind of going to figure out another way to do it. So it might be delayed even more if there was going to be an announcement. Wilton is laying out the pieces for me. Thank you. Well, let's list all the pieces we have so far. 1 horror museum post. Jennifer Lynch possibly involved. What else? And it says, have I missed something? I didn't know about any rumors. I only saw the Sherilyn Fenn tweets. See, this is what I'm saying. They're not particularly rumors. I would call them suggestions at best. But I know a lot of people are calling them rumors, so I figured I'd address them in that kind of way. But I would probably call them suggestions or hints there's enough there to make you think that something is happening by people who probably would be in the know more or less. I would think. Of course, Kyle's been saying he doesn't know anything. He would love to do more, but he probably can't. Legally, he probably can't say anything. So, and I am sure most of them, if there is something happening, there's probably NDAs galore. Because, after the return, a lot of things ended up getting out. I mean, they even caught the finale on TMZ, got footage of the finale. So we saw, well, a lot of us, I didn't particularly seek out that TMZ footage, but I saw the finale way before the show even premiered. So obviously I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that it was something with Laura's going to happen. Laura and Cooper was going to happen on a street in Washington. So it could have been anything. We all kind of speculated what that could possibly be. But I think maybe with this go around, if there is something happening, I don't know if we're going to get something quite as transparent and obvious. So I think, yes, these little subtle hints are exactly what that is. They're subtle hints and, little winks that something might be coming down the line. But again, it's been kind of happening it's 2020 now. The return ended at the end of 2017. So we'll say a little bit, we'll say 2 years. We'll give them 2 years. Which isn't, I know we're all kind of dying for more Twin Peaks, but it isn't a lot. That's not a lot of time, especially to get something done. And then this year is Corona filled. So they really only would have had to, 2018 and 2019 to really make headway on anything. So I don't see them really filming anything in 2018. If anything, I think, and I said this on Cameron's channel, I said, if anything, right now, or the past couple of months, has been the perfect time to write a new season of Twin Peaks. I think, it's ripe for, just sitting down and writing. David Lynch and Mark Frost obviously did a lot of the writing of season 3 over Skype. So this kind of climate definitely necessitates that kind of collaboration over Skype or Zoom or whatever you think. So I don't think there's anything in the can. I think maybe it's just, and I'm doing the Lynch hands, I think maybe it's just suggestions, and maybe there is some talk. And I think there has been for a while, but it might have just been talk. So I think maybe if they are working on something, I think it probably happened very recently. Like, I don't think it was happening last year. Maybe just like a conversation or two. Again, I don't know. This is all conjecture. This is all me just theorizing. But I think if anything is happening, probably now. The plans are probably being made now. And honestly, this is probably, I know you have to be safe and all, but this is probably the best time to film low-key, because people aren't out and about as much. Wilton says, I wouldn't expect anything until 2025, I think. That sounds, this year is a bust, so if they're writing this year, if they are writing this year, maybe filming sort of second half of next year, so maybe 2022, maybe 2023. I think 2025 is a safe bet, but I think we'll probably get it sooner. I'm just going by if they're starting to work on things this year because of coronavirus and all that stuff. Anna says we know he's been in touch with Sabrina a lot, I guess. Prob's just teasing. It's possible. That's what I'm saying. There's very subtle hints and suggestions. So, again, not necessarily rumors, but more suggestions and little winks and nods. They know, they want to know that they still have power over minions. Yeah. Obnoxious Anonymous is here. Cameron's here. Walton says both have been busy. It seems there was a picture at some studio. Cameron says the studio is Lynch's house. Yeah, I mean that's where he's been doing all the videos from as well. He's just there, pretty much all the time. I imagine. Maybe he goes here and there for a meeting or to talk to somebody. But I'm assuming he's at his house working on stuff most of the time. That's pretty much what we've been. What most of us have been doing, I imagine. So yeah, I think at best something has just started to happen. Maybe something more concrete is just starting to get in the works. I don't think it was before. I think maybe there was conversations. Maybe there was like, hey, they're talking about this and things got a little bit out of control. There probably was, people like to like to be hyperbolic and say, oh, this was a discussion. I heard this in passing. That means they're doing something. It could have just been, a suggestion or a comment made somewhere. And somebody heard it, picked it up, blew it to the size of the moon, and we all got excited. But I am guessing now's as good as time as any to write whatever the next chapter of Twin Peaks is going to be, whether it be another movie or show, or maybe both, or maybe neither, and it's something else. Maybe something else entirely. So we'll see. Let's see. He's just chilling with the sky and his cigarettes. Yeah, I mean, the dude is in his 70s. Most people are retired by that age. They're doing nothing. They're just sitting home, hanging out, watching TV, doing the little projects they have. I don't blame him. I don't blame him if he doesn't want to do anything else. I would not blame him. At that age, I would probably want to sit home all day working on random stuff too. But also, as an artist, you get the itch that doesn't go away. So, it's I also get where he's coming from that angle. So, yeah, that's. Hold up. James says, I might be a bad Peaks fan, but honestly, after the return, Twin Peaks is dead. Play with the universe and lodges, but keep the town out of it. Yeah, it seems like I wouldn't say you're a bad Twin Peaks fan. I think that's been the case for a while. I feel like they've been trying to get out of Twin Peaks since Fire Walk with Me. To be honest. Obviously the return blew it up to a lot bigger thing. Twin Peaks is at this point less about the town. Maybe the first 2 seasons were about the town. The movie was about Laura, obviously, in Twin Peaks, but it wasn't necessarily about Twin Peaks, which is why it was called Fire Walk with Me. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, but it was a different story. Twin Peaks is the murder case in the town of Twin Peaks and the things that surrounded that murder, and I think the lodges are, they are supplementary to the murder case. But I think Twin Peaks is sort of more of a concept rather than just a place. Obviously, people might roll their eyes at that statement, but it's quite apparent with the return. I mean, Lynch is very much in love with California and Los Angeles. So, we saw New York. We saw parts from all over the country. It's beyond. Twin Peaks is, Twin Peaks will always be Twin Peaks, and we saw that. It's there's a town that's resisting change. To the chagrin of some people, we have those Lucy scenes where she doesn't understand cell phones, which is hilarious, but it's also, it's a reality in a lot of these places where some people are either refusing or can't keep up with how quickly things are changing. And Twin Peaks is one of those towns. It's a town like any other now. And I think I don't really get the idea that David Lynch and Mark Frost were necessarily resentful of that. It's just sort of a fact of life. Twin Peaks is never going to be that warm, homey place, small town in Washington, because everything is so hyper connected these days. It is accessible to everybody, in some respect. So Twin Peaks has to evolve as well, and that means taking on a larger scale. Sorry guys, my camera just died. I thought I had some auxiliary power on, but I guess not. Hold on, let me adjust this real quick. There we go. Sorry about that. I thought it would hold up. Oh well. All right, never mind. We're back. Yeah. So I think Twin Peaks is done. The town is mostly done. It might be sort of a touch point. Like people might go back to it to visit some old friends, but a lot of Margaret Lannerman isn't in Twin Peaks anymore. Harry isn't in Twin Peaks anymore. Andy and Lucy are the only ones we really saw in Twin Peaks that we were familiar with. Pete isn't there. Catherine's not there. Donna's not there. Audrey's not there. James, Shelley and James are still there. The younger guys are still there. They're still hanging out, but a lot of people are not there anymore. So it's that Twin Peaks is gone. I think it would be people aren't totally psyched with those like sort of little cut scene or little table scenes at the Bang Bang Bar, Roadhouse, whatever. But that's kind of showing you who's in Twin Peaks now, and it's it's a moving place. People come in and out of Twin Peaks all the time. Nobody really seems to settle there anymore, and it's a sick town. It's sick. I'm guessing the Bang Bang Bar is sort of their only claim to any sort of local fame. At this point, you're coming. People go up there that aren't Twin Peaks fans to see the falls, and it's surrounded by nature. So you could go at it from that angle, but I don't know if anybody would want to see sort of a nature vloggers in Twin Peaks or something like that, or traveling people in Twin Peaks. Like it'd be a story about tourists and not necessarily about the people we kind of came to love in the town originally. Anna says, I don't think I could cope with the Twin Peaks storyline. That was just Lucy and Andy. But that's what I mean. I would love to go back to Twin Peaks and talk, see all those people and those faces again and have a story in Twin Peaks, which I'm sure you could do. I'm sure you could, obviously you had the Gersten and Steven, and Shelley's daughter. You had all these people with so much drama, but it was melodrama. It was like, it wasn't as significant as, the murder of Laura Palmer, which affected the whole town. Now I'm guessing if somebody gets murdered in Twin Peaks, it probably barely makes the news. That kind of thing. So if you want to tell, so now the story of Twin Peaks is the story of everywhere. It's not just the small town where this happens. This is happening all over now. So the story is much bigger. Everything is just, the scale is just insane because of the way, technology has evolved and our communication and the connection. Not only are we're more connected than ever, but that also means we're more perceptive to a lot of these, smaller places in their stories. But we're also ignorant to it as well. So it's a lot. And I'm sorry for going on a rant because, I love Twin Peaks, and I get people's sort of frustration with there not being a lot of Twin Peaks in The Return, but it's difficult. They did I think they did what they could with it. Obviously, they could always come up with some crazy thing, but I don't know if it's not what Mark Frost and David Lynch were feeling at the time. They were feeling something else. Feeling like what I just said, that this kind of chaos is literally happening everywhere, and it's not, unless it's really insane, it's not really shaking up a town. Like the death of a young girl seems like, you hear it every day now, unfortunately. Not to get all grim on everybody, but those stories like that do not necessarily catch public attention. Some do, but it's crazy. And I think The Return was trying to emulate that sort of fervor and anxiety that we are dealing with, even 2017, 2016, whenever they wrote it, 2014, through that time, that era. I think it was indicative of a lot of that. That's why I really love The Return, because I felt like it's definitely in tune with the time, which is, it was that even in the 80s and 90s, or the early, late 80s and 90s, it kind of fell on that line of things. And it's still, that story's still relevant. That story's still relevant, but I think The Return really kind of, it made sense for today. And it says The Return just felt like one big fever dream, and honestly, I rate it. I don't know if you meant you hate it or, yeah. I remember going into work, like, and it'd be funny because people would say to me, "You look like you're on something." I'm like, "No, the new Twin Peaks was last night." And then they'd look at me like I was crazy, but I probably was just, glazed over thinking about the previous night's episode. And it was a lot of fun. That era was a lot of fun, I gotta say. So I think if there's gonna be any more Twin Peaks, it's going to be it's not going to be, I don't think we're ever getting Kyle MacLachlan as sort of cool Cooper ever again, that, he's really wholesome and he knows exactly what to do and kind of stuff like that. And we even had his sort of, he fell victim to his own dark side, really, because he went by trying not to acknowledge it for so long, and it overtook him, quite literally. And it says rated is UK slang for liked it. See, that one has not translated over here, I don't think. Yeah, so I think I've actually come to appreciate The Return a lot more. Obviously there's some stuff that I'm not super, either I don't necessarily get it, I'm not really a fan of it, or it just seemed like maybe it wasn't a full thought or a full scene or something. But overall, very much liked it, and I felt like it was very indicative of the times. So yeah. So that's the rumor news. That's my thoughts on the rumors, Twin Peaks rumors. But yeah, I would love to see more Twin Peaks, of course, or another Fire Walk with Me that revolves around Laura, or Carrie Page, one and the same, possibly, or Richard and Linda. Obviously, Diane went off and did something, so she's out in that world too, scheming. I wouldn't be surprised if we get something about Diane. I don't think David Lynch needs an excuse to work with Laura Dern. But I think most of the other stuff we saw in The Return is put to bed, which is why I think we do get the everything's going to be different when we cross over kind of scene, because I think The Return was the last bit of Twin Peaks we're gonna get. I think The Return is the end of Twin Peaks, and I think if we get something new, and I've been thinking this for a little while now, I think if we get something new, it's gonna be called something else. It'll be Kyle. It'll be Sheryl Lee. It'll be Laura Dern. But I think it's going to be a different show. I think The Return was the end of Twin Peaks. I think Richard and Linda are people from another show. Whatever the new show's going to be. So, yeah, I don't know. Richard and Linda and then Carrie Page are all characters in a new show. Again, but Cooper referred to himself as Cooper, but he's going to think he's Cooper in that world. He's going to be a very confused Cooper in the new world, which is why he doesn't know what year it is, because he's not even in the same show anymore. Not to go at it from the meta angle, but I think quite literally they crossed to a different show. And I know, and that last episode is them doing that. Twin Peaks is, quiet, it's asleep. Let's go to a different show. And it says, honestly, I'm at peace with if there's no new Twin Peaks. I could rewatch the old forever. Okay, let's have something new. Well, I'm not saying it's... I'm saying Twin Peaks itself. I think the concept of the show, Twin Peaks is over, but I think the characters are going to kind of live on in something new. That's just a sort of an idea I've been having recently, that's what that was. They literally jumped to a new show. They went through the electricity and went into a different thing. So we'll see. Could be probably wrong. Could be right, but probably wrong. But I kind of like that idea also. Jockey said, Sabrina said at the UK festival a couple years ago that David wanted to do a recut of Fire Walk with Me. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm also thinking is I think that's still true, but I think the Fire Walk with Me recut is going to have to do with the events of The Return. At least the time in between when Cooper grabs, takes Laura through the woods and to the time he finds her again in Odessa, Texas. I don't know. Maybe it is a recut with just extra footage from that they did or did not have from the original filming, but I think the recut is going to be it's going to be kind of like what Fire Walk with Me was to the series Twin Peaks. It's going to be a prequel-sequel. It's going to show Fire Walk with Me. It's going to be a prequel to The Return, but it's also going to be kind of a sequel to The Return. If it goes the way I'm thinking it's going to go. Again, could be wrong. Probably wrong. But I could also see that happening. I could just see a new cut of Fire Walk with Me with the taking in consideration the new world, the new canon, whatever you want to call it. Again, when they cross over, when it's Richard and Linda, when Diane, when they cross over, they could be crossing over to a movie. If we're keeping that idea consistent, with them crossing over to maybe a new show or a new format. I don't know. It's just an idea I have. Obviously, there is sort of a little bit of a meta thing going on. I'm not going to say that there's not, because I think there definitely is. The whole thing isn't meta, but I think there are meta elements in how ideas transfer and stuff. And, obviously David transferred his ideas from TV to movie, back to TV, but it's kind of a movie. So, I think the next step is something else. Maybe the internet. I don't know. Anyway, unless you guys have any final comments or questions, I think I'm going to leave it there. And I'll be back for sure. And once we get some more info, if there is anything else that happens to come out within the next few weeks. But with Graceland canceled, I imagine they might be reworking what they were going to do. Possibly, if there was going to be some sort of announcement there, they'll probably rework it or maybe hold off till next year completely, especially if something isn't done. I mean, anything isn't written or, there's not ready to be announced or something. I could see them holding off completely, but I feel like there's something going on. Something's been going on for a little while. We've kind of felt silly digging into rumors before. But maybe, it's just, a waiting game. It's patience. I think maybe our fault was expecting something to come soon after that, but, they drop the breadcrumbs for a while. You just gotta be patient. I think we're just so ready for more of that. We forget, they need time to work on this stuff. And I don't think they're going to announce it until they're ready. So, putting the foot on the brakes for now. Maybe see what happens, but I'm hopeful, and I'm very curious to see what the hell it is. If it has anything to do with Twin Peaks, or new Twin Peaks, or maybe a different project completely. I don't know. We will see. Anyway, drop in your last few comments. If you don't have any, we'll hit the road. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Again, subscribe, do the YouTube thing. Helps out the channel. Lets me know you like these videos, you want to see more, and all that jazz. Yeah. Be patient, stay excited, but be patient, Keep your expectations low so that if there's a surprise, you'll be ecstatic. That's kind of where I'm coming from. But, obviously, even with a little nuggets of suggestion, turned into almost an hour-long video. I did one on Cameron's channel, so that's almost 4 hours just on a couple of breadcrumbs. So it's really funny. But, you guys are great. Keep the passion alive, keep the spirit alive, and I think we'll probably be getting something. I'm hesitant to say soon, but in time, in due time, I think we'll see some news come out and an announcement of something. Don't know what it is. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you there. Hopefully, everybody has a good rest of your week. And I shall see you probably very soon. Yeah. Anyway, guys. See you later.